Good afternoon and welcome to Milestone Mondays. This is Teresa with Tea Time with Afternoon Social, and I'm so glad you've joined us today. And we have an exciting new guest speaker. Her name is Marin Laukka. She's a coach, a speaker, and an author. And she has a master's degree in positive developmental psychology and certifications in life coaching and yoga. And today on Milestone Mondays, she has some exciting news as she reached a very neat first milestone, which is writing her first book and getting it published. So today I'm going to have Marin talk to us about how she reached that milestone and tell us a little bit more about her book. So good afternoon, Marin. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm wonderful, and I'm so excited to share this. I have the book with me, and it definitely feels like a huge milestone. And I'm finally at the point where I'm like admitting it happened. It took a while for it to soak in. I held the book and I was like, is this real? Did this actually happen? And now it feels very real. So I'm excited to share my experience.
Okay. So what inspired you to write it, and how did you come find a publisher, and tell us the whole story of what's going on, and maybe a bit about yourself and a little background.
Yeah, perfect. So I graduated, well, we'll rewind even a little further. I went into a PhD program in positive psychology in 2016, and I thought I was going to be a professor. I really love speaking, and I love kind of that one-on-one. I was most excited for office hours. I love that one-on-one connection with people, and the positive psychology field is a really exciting one to be in. It's relatively new in the scheme of psychology, and it's all about how to live a flourishing, good life. And so I loved this approach of being proactive about wellness, about balance, about just general life fulfillment. It's something that I think we all kind of take for granted, as if we should just know how to live a good life. And then we find ourselves struggling a little bit and saying, well, how do I balance things? And what do I prioritize? And what does this actually look like in real life? And so I entered that PhD program, again, thinking I was going to be a professor, and very quickly learned that I really love the application, which you could even sense in my introduction. I love the application of this material, but not so much the research side of it. As in, I wanted to get out of the lab and go into the real world and talk about this stuff with real people who can then implement it into their life immediately. So that is when I switched from the PhD program to the master's degree, so that I could get more of that hands-on practical side of positive psychology. And I started my own coaching business after graduating with my master's. And so that was in 2018. And I started my company, Yes And, which has already evolved in many ways. And today I work mainly with women who are navigating some sort of transition. And that is the center point, because oftentimes it's when we're in the midst of transition that we realize, okay, this is my opportunity to make a change, to align my work, my family, my priorities, my values with what feels most true for me. And so I see clients that range from just getting out of college, or maybe they're even in college trying to decide what to do, all the way to women who are retired and now want to say, what do I want to do with my life after I've done, all the other things in life? And so it's a really fun space to be. And the book is called Ready Enough. It's your 7-step guide for life's hardest decisions. So what I did last year when we were all in quarantine is I took the opportunity to write what I saw time after time with my one-on-one clients. This process that I myself had gone through, trying to live a life of alignment, a life that felt best for me. And then what I saw my clients go through. And I narrowed it down to 7 steps to make it really simple and really practical and actionable. And it's this whole encompassing process from before we even know there's a decision to be made, when we're just feeling like something is a little bit off. And then it walks you through step by step. Okay, get clarity, create some space for yourself to even just like see what the heck is going on. Why is something feeling off? Setting your direction, making a decision, taking action. And then just as important, afterwards, riding the waves that come with making decisions and making change in your life, and celebrating yourself for making that change in the midst even of grief or stress, or the hard emotions that can come with change too, because there's plenty of space for all of it. So it was a kind of a quarantine book. I took the opportunity. I knew I always wanted to write a book and just kind of summarize the coaching process to a more applicable or approachable format for many people to get access to. And COVID was the perfect opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it is great. Even though everybody was locked down and all worried about not being able to do things, like you said, you can take that opportunity to go to that next step in life. And now you mentioned your business name is Yes And. So how did you come across that title for your business, and what does that mean for you?
Yes. Yes And is originated from an improv game. So improvisation, it has this game where you essentially just accept what your partner, usually you're working with someone else, or even an audience member, accept what they say and then work with it. And if you watch an improv team or individual work, it creates this flow. So imagine two people on stage, one of them say, "Oh my gosh, Ben, why are you shivering?" If he were to say, "I'm not shivering, I'm sweating," it would create this kind of jolty conversation that wouldn't feel good. Whereas what you'll most likely see with improv actors is they'll say, "Oh my gosh, Ben, why are you shivering?" And then Ben says, "I don't know, it's super weird that I'm shivering because we're standing on a beach." And so he can take what is said and work with it, and it creates this flow that continues the conversation rather than ends it. And that's essentially what coaching is. So I actually originally learned about Yes And in my coaching training. We used it kind of as this big metaphor for how to coach and work with what's happening rather than fight against it or try to solve anything necessarily. It's more of that flow. And then I actually got to experience it in an improv class and do the Yes And experience. And that's how I just fell in love with the concept. It was through and through in my bones and my actions and my mind. And I thought it was a great way to kind of summarize the coaching experience with a coaching business.
That's fantastic. My brother is into improv, and I got to, with COVID, they all went virtual. So, because he's in Washington State and I'm here in Missouri. So I got to jump in on a few classes while they were virtual. And so that improvisation really does help you even with your life's decisions, as not to be fearful and be able to jump in and take advantage of what opportunities you have. That's why you've got a book written now. Because
100%, yes.
You said, yes, there's an opportunity and I am going to fulfill it. So
exactly.
That is a perfect business name for what you're presenting to other women. And it sounds like a very exciting opportunity. So what is your next milestone? Do you have another book in mind, or do you have something else big coming up?
Yeah, my next milestone or the next kind of focus is to utilize this book to get on broader speaking platforms. So speaking, whether it's on podcasts or in front of companies or in front of universities, is to speak about this idea of how do we make authentic decisions. And now that there's a book to accompany this, it makes it even more approachable for audiences to not only hear it, but then, grab the book afterwards or beforehand to really connect with this material. So I am so excited to be here today. This is what's next, and open my door to as many speaking opportunities as feel aligned and come my way.
Fantastic. And that's one thing too. A lot of people are afraid to be speakers, but this virtual audience actually takes a lot of that fear away. And I can tell you've got a lot of professionals speaking behind you. So I'm sure some ladies out there, if they'd like to connect with you, can even ask you about how to get over that fear, which actually leads us into will lead us into a tip you have for us on Wednesday for Woman to Woman Wednesdays. We're going to talk to her about journaling, and she has some more tips on that. So you have a pretty large business going, and you've only been in business for 3 years.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So that sounds like I don't know what all you're ready for. And I think we're getting a little short here on time. I was trying to check that too. But now you're in Minnesota, is that right?
Yes. Well, currently living in Montana, but based in the Twin Cities. Yes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So you're working completely from home too, as well.
Yes. Yes, I am excited to get back. You mentioned in-person versus virtual events. So yeah, when everything went virtual, we kind of took the opportunity to get to the mountains and get outside and get away from people a little bit. And now hopefully things are looking up. We're going back to the city. It feels very much, that's my home base. And I'm excited to get back with in-person events there.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing that from you, that you're posted for live. I'm ready for some live too. I think it's really fun to connect with women one-on-one instead of through the computer. But with COVID or with people with disabilities or whatever, we still have this virtual world and we can connect even across the globe.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us on Milestone Mondays today. And
thank you so much.
Like I said, we're going to talk with Marin again on Wednesday, and she's going to share with us about the journaling. And then on Thursday, she's got another challenge for us. So join us this whole next week to watch more about Marin and all the exciting things that she has going on. So thank you for joining me on Milestone Mondays today, and we will see her on Wednesday. Thanks, Marin.
Thank you. See you then.